If statements allow you to test conditions contained in an Excel formula. Depending on the conditions tested, you'll be able to make Excel perform whatever action you want to do based on that condition. The basic structure of an if statement is shown as follows. So we have equals to, if, bracket, a condition, value if true and value if false, and we close the bracket. Let's break it down into its components. First off, we should know that Excel will read or evaluate the formula moving from left to right. This is true of all formulas in Excel. Next we see there is an equals to sign, which indicates to Excel that it is dealing with a formula. The opening bracket indicates the start of the formula. And the first thing we see inside the bracket, the condition that Excel would test. This is a crucially important part of the formula as the outcome will depend on the condition you put in. So maybe if I put it in more everyday terms, you might see it more clearly. Let's say that you want to buy a house for $500,000, but you don't have any money. Well, being a very optimistic individual, you decide to invest $4 in the state lottery, which has a first prize of $2 million. Now, there's a condition involved here. You either win the lottery or you don't. If you win the lottery, then you can buy the house. If you don't, then you will remain a non-homeowner. So going back to the formula, the condition in this case is, did you win the lottery? Now we have to test the outcome of that condition, and depending on the outcome, we will either buy the house, which is the value if true part of the formula, or we stay where we are, value if false. Now generally speaking in Excel, we are performing tests which are numerical in nature. So let's look at a numerical example. Now this is a problem which I have to deal with all the time because I've got a lot of students. I have a class of students and I want to assign them a pass or a fail grade based on the mark they receive in their exam. And I want Excel to do it automatically. The rule that I use is that the student gets more than 40 marks, they'll get a pass. Otherwise, they'll get a fail. How do I translate this fairly trivial example into an Excel formula? Well, let's look at the component parts again. 1. What we're going to do is test the value which we enter into the cell because that is where I'm going to type in the student mark. 2. We decide where we want to put the formula. Where we want to put it is in the place where we want the answer to appear. So I'm going to put it here in cell A6. Remember that the answer which results from the execution of the formula will appear in the cell that the formula is placed into. Typing the formula, the first thing we need is the equals to sign. Simple. Next we need to tell Excel what function we're going to use. In this case, it's an if statement. Next we need the opening bracket. And now we need a condition. So what's the condition in this case? Well, it's the value we place in the cell where the mark is. The formula will check whatever we type in here. So we click on the cell. It's better to do that than to type in the cell reference, otherwise you might make a mistake. And the condition that we're testing is whether the value in the cell being checked is greater than 40. So we type greater than 40, and that's the condition. Now, Excel requires us to put a comma in after the condition. So here's a comma. Next, we want to tell Excel what we want to happen if that condition is true. In other words, if the mark is over 40. And what we want to happen is that we want the word pass to appear. So after the comma, we put the word pass in inverted commas. That's a requirement for whenever we want text to appear on the screen in Excel from within formulas. Next, we need another comma. Then we need to tell the system what to do if the condition is not true. In this case, we want the word fail to appear, so we type it in inverted commas. And finally, you must close the opening bracket. Wonderful. But now you need to test if your formula is actually working. It's always a good idea to put in some tests and always a good idea to test the boundaries in particular. So let's put in 15 into the mark cell and see the result. It should be fail. Lovely. Put 67 in and you should see a pass. Excellent. Now when I say boundary, I mean the value in the condition. In this case, 40. What happens if I put in 40? Well, is it greater than 40? No. So the result should be a fail. And it is. Try 41. What should the answer be? Pass. Boundary values are always something you should test. So now we've completed our introduction to if statements in Excel. At this point, you should try out exercise 1. Practice exercise 1. Don't look at the solution until you give it a real try. And in the next lecture, we'll explore this exercise and expand our knowledge of if statements.